Let me ask you something, and I need you to sit with this question for a second. What if a man chased down the person who violated his 4-year-old son, and the wrestling company he gave up his entire UFC career for turned their back on him the moment he needed redemption the most? Because that is exactly what is happening right now. Cain Velasquez, 2-time UFC heavyweight champion, the man who knocked out Brock Lesnar in the octagon, the man who walked into WWE on the very first SmackDown on Fox in front of millions of viewers, walked out of prison on February 15th, 2026. He served his time. He paid his debt. He is free. And WWE apparently wants nothing to do with him. I want you to drop a comment right now. Do you think WWE should bring Cain Velasquez back? Because by the end of this video, you are going to have a very strong opinion, and I guarantee it's going to make you either furious or fired up. Either way, this conversation needs to happen. Welcome to WrestleScope. Let's get into it. For those who need a quick refresher, because some of you younger fans may only know Cain from that one Magic Crown Jewel, let's talk about what this man actually is. Cain Velasquez is arguably the most dominant UFC heavyweight champion of his era. This is a man who fought with the intensity of a freight train and the conditioning of someone who simply refused to lose. He held the UFC heavyweight championship twice. He knocked out Brock Lesnar, the same Brock Lesnar who terrorized WWE for over a decade, in the first round. He handed Junior Dos Santos his first and most devastating loss. He was, at his peak, considered by many to be the greatest heavyweight fighter alive. And then, in a move that genuinely shocked the combat sports world, Cain Velasquez traded his UFC gloves for a pair of wrestling boots. In 2019, he debuted for AAA in Mexico, wearing a luchador mask at Triplemania X27, teaming with Cody Rhodes of all people. The crowd in Mexico, they erupted, because in Mexico, Cain Velasquez is not just a fighter, he is a cultural hero, the son of Mexican immigrants who became the baddest man on the planet. He represents something much bigger than wrestling or MMA. He represents a community. And then WWE came calling. October 4th, 2019, the very first episode of SmackDown on Fox. This was a monumental night. WWE was launching onto network television in front of a massive mainstream audience. And who did they bring out to make history? Cain Velasquez. The pop was insane. When Cain's music hit and he walked down that ramp with Rey Mysterio at his side, the building shook. This felt real. For a brief moment, professional wrestling and combat sports collided in a way that gave fans something electric. The idea that the man who already beat Brock Lesnar in real life was now coming for him in the WWE ring. Then Crown Jewel happened. Cain Velasquez versus Brock Lesnar for the WWE Championship in Saudi Arabia. And in 88 seconds, it was over. Lesnar caught Velasquez with a Kimura lot, and Cain tapped out almost immediately. The crowd didn't know what hit them. The internet didn't know what hit them. And honestly, Cain's WWE run never truly recovered from that moment. Was the match good? No. Was it the right call to have Cain lose that fast in his first major WWE match? Absolutely not. Dave Meltzer himself recently called that Crown Jewel bout terrible, and he's right. WWE got a massive mainstream name, a man with legitimate crossover appeal, and they essentially wasted him in under 2 minutes. Then COVID hit, budget cuts came, and just like that, Cain Velasquez was released from WWE in April 2020 without ever truly being given a real chance. Let me ask you this, and again, drop it in the comments. Do you think WWE buried Cain Velasquez? Because the more you look at it, the harder it is to argue otherwise. Now we have to talk about the incident, and I want to be very clear about something. I'm not here to tell you what to think morally or legally. I'm here to give you the facts, and then we're going to discuss what they mean for wrestling. February 2022, Cain Velasquez was arrested following a high-speed 11-mile car chase in which he repeatedly fired shots at a vehicle. The target, a man named Harry Goularte Jr., a man who had been accused of sexually molesting Cain's 4-year-old son. Cain did not hit his intended target. Instead, he struck Goularte's stepfather, who sustained a non-life-threatening gunshot wound. Velasquez was charged with attempted murder and several additional gun assault charges. He spent time in county jail, then under house arrest. He fought the legal battle for years. In August 2024, he pleaded no contest to all charges. In March 2025, he was sentenced to 5 years in prison, but with all the time he had already served credited toward that sentence, he became eligible for parole almost immediately. On February 15, 2026, Cain Velasquez walked out of the correctional training facility in Soledad, California as a free man. Now, here is where it gets complicated, and here is where the wrestling world exploded with debate. Dana White spoke up for Cain, Scott Coker spoke up for Cain, Rey Mysterio, who was literally part of the original WWE storyline with Velasquez, immediately posted a photo with Cain following his release, welcoming him publicly and warmly. The MMA community rallied around him. Fans in Mexico treated his release like a homecoming of a hero, but WWE, radio silence. And here is the part of this story that I need you to understand, because this is what has the entire wrestling community absolutely divided right now.
Dave Meltzer, on Wrestling Observer Radio, was asked directly, will WWE bring Cain Velasquez back? And the answer was essentially this: no. WWE probably stays away from Cain Velasquez entirely. Not because he isn't talented, not because he isn't a draw, but because of business optics, because of how it looks on paper in the United States for a publicly traded entertainment company to sign a man who pleaded no contest to attempted murder charges. Here's what makes this so maddening, though, and I need you to really think about this. WWE recently brought Brock Lesnar back. Yes, the same Brock Lesnar who was in the middle of his own massive legal controversy just last year. Reports surfaced about Lesnar being implicated in serious allegations, and yet the door has apparently not been fully closed on his WWE future. And yet Cain Velasquez, a man who committed his act in defense of his child, a man who served his time, a man who has the full-throated sympathy of the combat sports world, is deemed too risky? You tell me how that math works. Meltzer himself acknowledged the hypocrisy and framing it around business optics rather than morality. He said, and this is critical, that in any other era, WWE would have jumped on the opportunity to bring Cain back and market him to Mexican fans. They already own the majority shares of AAA, Lucha Libre AAA worldwide, the very promotion where Cain is an absolute legend. They have the infrastructure, they have the market, they have the built-in audience that would go absolutely ballistic to see Cain Velasquez walk into a Mexican arena. And yet, here we are. Now here's the twist that nobody is really talking about. Meltzer and other insiders acknowledged that a full WWE comeback on American television, Raw, SmackDown, WrestleMania, is likely off the table. But a strictly international or AAA-based deal, that scenario, according to Meltzer, can't be completely ruled out. Think about what that means. WWE could technically use Cain Velasquez, just exclusively in Mexico, away from US television cameras and the scrutiny that comes with mainstream American audiences. He performs for AAA crowds in Guadalajara, Mexico City, and Monterrey. He never appears on Raw or SmackDown. He draws massive gates and markets that already love him. WWE profits, Cain works. Fans in Mexico get their hero back. It's a loophole. And in professional wrestling, loopholes have a long and storied history of being exploited. Now, let me put on my booking hat for a second, because this is WrestleScope, and we don't just report the news, we analyze the possibilities. WrestleMania 42 is on the horizon. The speculation machine is in full swing, and with Rey Mysterio publicly and warmly welcoming Cain back, with the Rey and Cain friendship being a documented WWE storyline, I need you to think about the story that is right there waiting to be told. Rey Mysterio has been one of the most beloved figures in WWE history. His connection to Cain goes back years, both in real life and on television. What if, and I know this is a long shot, but what if Triple H and the creative team decide that a WrestleMania moment built around redemption is worth the calculated risk? Redemption stories are gold in professional wrestling. The crowd loves nothing more than cheering for someone who has been through the fire and come out the other side. And Cain Velasquez has a story, a father who snapped protecting his child, a man who served time and came out focused on healing and breathwork and mental wellness. That is not a villain story. That is a hero story. The real question is whether WWE's corporate risk department will ever let that story be told on their biggest stage. And honestly, my gut says probably not. But my heart says it should be. So where does Cain Velasquez actually go from here? Right now, post-release, Cain himself is focused on something very different from wrestling. He's posted about hosting a holotropic breathing seminar in San Jose, a mindfulness and wellness event focused on guided breathwork, mental reset, and community connection. He talked about how breathwork has been transformative for him physically, mentally, and spiritually during his incarceration. That tells you something about where his head is at. This is not a man who came out of prison immediately tweeting about wanting a championship. This is a man who went through something profound and is trying to process it, heal from it, and share what he learned. But here's the thing. Cain has also made it clear through insiders and through the general mood around his release that he does want to wrestle again. He loves professional wrestling. He always has. Going back to his childhood, this man was a wrestling fan before he was ever a fighter. The dream never died. Prison didn't kill it. AAA is the most realistic path. And if WWE is smart, and Triple H has proven time and again that he is smart, they will find a creative way to use one of the most recognized and beloved athletes in Mexican-American sports history. The business case is undeniable. The human case is compelling. The only obstacle is optics. And in professional wrestling, optics have always bent to the will of a great story. Here's the bottom line, WrestleScope family. Cain Velasquez is free. He is healthy, he is focused, and the wrestling world, whether they admit it or not, needs to have this conversation right now. Should WWE bring him back, even in a limited AAA capacity? Is the business risk too great, or is WWE being hypocritical compared to how they've handled other controversial figures? And most importantly, does Cain Velasquez deserve a second chance to be the wrestling hero that WWE never actually let him be the first time around? I want your take. Drop it in the comments below. Tell me, yes, bring Cain back, or no, the door should stay closed. Let's get a debate going because this topic is too important to let slide.
And if this video gave you something to think about, if it got your blood pumping even a little bit, hit that like button right now. It takes 2 seconds and it helps this channel more than you know. Every single like tells YouTube that wrestling fans want real, honest, in-depth analysis, not just surface-level headlines. Subscribe to WrestleScope if you haven't already. We cover the stories that actually matter in professional wrestling, with the depth and passion the sport deserves. Click the bell so you never miss a video, because we are just getting started in 2026, and the biggest stories are still ahead of us. Cain Velasquez walked out of prison. The wrestling world is watching, and WrestleScope will be here to cover every single move he makes next. I'm your host. This is WrestleScope, and we'll see you in the next one.